阿弥陀佛，我的声音 OK 哈。阿弥陀佛，各位尊敬的上师
everyone, to all masters in reverence, Dharma Instructor, Dharma Assistant, all Padma Kumaras, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Tashidali, everyone. Welcome to the TBS Online University 4th Zoom classroom. And too soon the lessons are going to answer. So this is second last class. One more class to go, and that's the end of this module. I'm sure that through this 1 year of learning and practical and this Dharma practice on everyone has benefited a lot from these lessons. In a few minutes time, we are going to start. Please prepare your pen and notebook, and in the process of listening to the class, please take down the key points of the class and write down your questions. And at the end of this lesson, you could pose this question during the Q&A session. We will invite Master Lian to answer those questions. Today's class will be in 3 languages as well, in Chinese and English and in Bahasa Indonesia. we would like to thank the Indonesian and interpreter, Dharma assistant Payphone, and myself.
那我们今天的课程也是有 Zoom、YouTube、Facebook 3个频道
And similarly, the class is being broadcasted on Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook. And you can actually do a revision by looking at the replay later on. I see people are coming in. I would like to share.
大家应该有看到我们网络大学有发出的通告。
We would have seen the notice that TBS Online University have posted today. Let's repeat again. On November 17th, that's the end of the class. So that's the fourth module would end on November 17th.
这一天将会学习这门课的最后一节。
This will be the last lesson for this module.
日是作业
And 24th and November 24th is the date that you need to submit your homework.
篇心得作业。
There will be 6 pieces of homework.
每一章呢写一篇，这样子提交上来。
And
另外呢，因为我们的这个课程只有5章，那
in addition, there's only 5 chapters. So what do we do with the 6 homework? You can it could be an article from Grandmaster book, or it could be your takeaways from all the lessons.
而这个阅读心得呢，也是可以做成这个视频，就是录制一个5分钟的学习。
And there should also be a 5-minute video as part of the homework submission. So there will be 6 homework together, including your takeaway from reading a book, and make this into a video. And if you're facing any difficulties or questions, please contact the counselors who will help you on this.
对，谢谢，好，那在这里呢，最后
Here I would also, and once your homework has been submitted,
谢谢。对，11月24号我们提交。
And on December 1st, we will have an online examination.
和准备，因为台湾时间12月1日晚上8点，我们就会进行这个。
Do note the date and the time when we will have the online examination.
晚上8点。
And on December the 8th, it will be the graduation ceremony. And will be so that's the official end of the lesson of the module. We would also like to there will also be a gentle reminder on the format of the exam. You will have to submit 6 pieces of homework, and then another 5 minutes video. These are the examination requirements. I think all these exams requirements are good because it allows you to revise the lessons you have learned. So have courage, everyone. So in addition, there's also the practical homework. So you have to record a 10 to 20 minutes of cultivating a Dharma practice video. And if your video qualifies, then you get 1 mark. And also your homework activity for the entire has to be more than 80%, and you will be given 1 mark. So if you have to, and you have to, in the video, you have to video the mudra, and also have to write in detail the cultivation sadhana. So these are the requirements.
大家有什么疑问的，也可以发
to
到留
if
言区，
you have
或者联络我们的辅导人为大家解答。
questions,
好的，那我们
or
的课程现
please
在
contact
准备
the
开始。
do contact our counselors. The class will start
看一下我们
now.
的
It's 8:01 p.m.
我们的联谊上师。
阿弥陀佛。
Master Lian is
上师
online.
好，阿弥陀佛。
Amitabha.
好的 ，OK， 那我们的课程现在开始。
So our class will start now.
请让我们一心恭敬合掌，
Let's
一
put our
心
palms
顶礼根本
together
传承
and
上
pay
师
homage to
圣
root
尊
lineage
永
guru
生
living
活
Buddha
佛，
Lian
顶礼历代传承祖师，
past
是
lineage
功
guru
德
of the
的
true
诸佛
Buddha's
菩
guru,
萨、金
all
刚护
Buddhas,
法， 慈
Bodhisattvas,
请根
Mahasattvas,
本上师加持
Dharma
我们今
protectors
天的
and
课程
the
圆
void.
满，让
We
大家
pray
收
for
获圆满，
Grandmaster
请
to
守节莲
bless
花
this
菩提
class.
手
Please
印，
mount the Padma
持诵根
Kumara
本上师
Mudra
心咒，短咒
and
7遍
recite the
神
heart
咒。
mantra
Om
of
Guru 连
Grandmaster.
声心
Om
地
Guru Lian
Hom，
Shan Siddhi
Om
Hom.
Guru
Om
连
Guru
声
Lian
心
Shan
地 Hom，
Siddhi Hom.
Om Guru
Om
连
Guru
声
Lian
心
Shan
地 Hom，
Siddhi Hom.
Om Guru
Om
连
Guru
声
Lian
心
Shan
地 Hom，
Siddhi Hom.
Om Guru
Om
连
Guru
声
Lian
心
Shan
地 Hom，
Siddhi Hom.
Om Guru
Om
连
Guru
声
Lian
心
Shan
地 Hom，
Siddhi Hom.
Om Guru
Om
连
Guru
声
Lian
心
Shan
地
Siddhi
Hom。
Hom.
阿弥陀佛，尊敬的会
Amitabha.
长莲花种子上师，
Honorable
教
Brother
育处处
Chairman,
长
Master
莲花上
Chenju,
师，公关处处长连接上师，授课导师
Education
莲于
Director
上
Master
师，
Lian,
以及
PR
线
Director
上
Master
Zoom、
Lian Cha,
YouTube、
Master Lian Fei,
Facebook 的
and
尊敬
all
的各位
Master,
上师、
uh,
教授
all
师、法
Masters,
师、讲
Senior
师、助
Reverends,
教，
Reverends,
各位
Dharma
莲花徒
Instructors,
子
Dharma
们，大
Assistants,
家
and
早
all
安、
fellow
午安、晚
disciples
安，
on
大家好，大
YouTube,
家吉
Zoom,
祥，
and
欢
Facebook.
迎大家来参加今天的
Tashidale,
网络
everyone.
大
Good
学
morning, good
云端
evening,
教室。
good afternoon,
今
good
天
evening.
是第4门
Welcome to
课
the class
程，
today.
真佛密
We are
法
still
课程
at
的第5章，
the
实修
Module
护法
2,
的
Buddha
注意
Tantric
事
Dharma,
项
Buddha
的
Chapter
第8
5,
节，
Practice and
诸法
Application of
与
True
初
Buddha
心。
Tantric Dharma.
上节
Today's
课呢，我
lesson,
们学习
lesson
了
8,
这
will be
课
on
的新的，
cultivating
就
Dharma
是
practice
持
and
师
cultivating
正
your
法
mind.
实修。
Last week
我
we
们
talked
了解
about
到了
honor
真佛行
Guru,
者要以正
treasure the
师为首
Dharma,
要的，
and
也明白了密教有实
practice
修护法，
diligently.
真佛弟子呢至少每日一修。那么
And
今天
all
这一
Tantric
节课将为
practitioners
我
have to
们进
practice
一
at
步
least
的
once a
讲
day.
解修
And
法与修心的
this
关系，
class
让我们更加清楚明白我们要如
will
何
allow
正确
us
的修行。
to
事不宜
how
迟，
to
我们
cultivate
以热烈的掌
correctly.
声
Without further
有
ado,
请授
let's
课导师
welcome
莲一上师
Master
为我
Lian
们
Yi
做宝贵
to
精彩的授课讲讲，
deliver
有
his
请。
to deliver the lessons.
首先先顶礼
First of all,
根本传承上
let's
师圣尊莲
pay
生活
homage to
佛。
Rutan Lineage Guru Living
南
Buddha
无
Lian
真佛
Shan,
中历代传承祖
Master
师，
Lineage Guru of the True
以及
Buddha
坛城
School,
诸佛
all
菩萨、
Buddhas,
金刚护法、
Bodhisattvas,
奉行诸
Mahasattvas,
天神
Dharma
众。
protectors of the shrine.
尊敬的会长
The
莲
Honorable
花种
Chairman
子
Master
上
Chen
师，
Shu,
教育处长莲花
Education
上
Director
师，
Master
公
Lian
关
Ha,
处长莲家上
Purity
师，
Director Master Lian
莲
Chia,
妃上
Master
师，
Lian
各
Fei,
位上师、教
all
授师、
Masters, Senior
法师、
Reverends,
讲师，
Reverends,
以及
Dharma
主持人、
Instructors,
对方助教、
all
各位
MC,
翻译员、各
all
位辅导
interpreters,
员、各位助
all
教及各位
counselors,
同门，
all
大
Dharma
家好，阿
assistants,
弥陀佛。
and all fellow
我们
disciples.
继续讲真
Amitabha
佛密
everyone.
法第5章，真佛密法的
Let's
实修
continue
与
with
应
lesson
用，
8,
修法与修心。我们先
cultivating
为
Dharma
入自心。
practices and cultivating your mind. Let's do a recap.
问题一，请写出
Question
什
1
么
in
是密
Tantric
教第一
what is
珍
the
贵的
first
思
and
想。
foremost precious?
老中写一周三次。烧饼师姐根本上师答案是根本传承上师。
So the answer is a root lineage guru, living
密
relation.
教中介
In
中
the Tantric
本班根本
precepts,
上师
when
等
one
于
defames the
今
root
天
guru,
发生什么？
who is being defamed as well?
大家写的也是对，有一些写一切如来， 有一些只写一个字佛对了，就是
Some wrote all Buddhas and some say all Tathagatas. So the answer is all
问题
Tathagatas.
3
Question 3.
佛法分成
The Buddha
理论
Dharma is
和实
divided
修，
into theory
应
and
将适用
practical.
是什么？
What does Tantrayana place emphasis on?
我是看有没有人答错，都是答对了
So
实
everyone
修
got a
没
right
有错
answer. It's
我
cultivation
进入前
practice.
文
So preface.
还有人写尽是宗法实修也是可以的。前言修道人
Preface.
要修
A
心
cultivator must
修
cultivate
法
both
兼
Dharma
修心
practices
就是
and
佛
one's mind.
这个大家应该都会清楚明
This
白
is
你
Buddha.
的修法
I'm sure
最重
everyone
要还
understands
是
that.
修心。
It is
记得
important when
以
we
前
cultivate, we
在
have to
日本
cultivate our
我先
mind.
讲一个
So
故事
let me share a
在
story
日
with
本
us.
有一个
In
道
Japan,
元禅
there
师
is a
那
Zen
么
master
他
Dao
就
Yuan
去了中国
went to
求法
China
那
to
么
seek
经
the
过多
Dharma.
年之后呢他
And
就
after many
学法
years,
有成就了
he
然
came
后就
back
回去
from his
中
studies.
国
He went back to China.
开创这个禅宗曹洞宗的祖师
So,
就是道元禅师
so
那
he's
么
one
有
of
人就
the
问
Zen
道
master in
元禅
China.
师他
And
说
somebody
当
asked
初
him,
你去了
when you first went to
中
China
国求法学了这么多年
to seek the
到
Dharma,
底学
you
了
went
什
for
么
so many years. What did you
然
learn
后道元
exactly?
禅师很简单的回
And
答
Dao Yun Zen
其
master
实呢
said,
我去到我真的没
in
有学到
fact,
什么
I didn't
我
learn
只是
anything at
学到
all.
一颗柔软
I
的心
just cultivated
他只
a
是很
gentle
简单
heart.
回答他我
So
只
that's a
学
very
到一
simple
颗
answer. He just
柔
said,
软的心
I just
其实这
cultivated,
个
I
就是一个
learned to have
重
a
点
gentle
了
heart.
真正的修行也是修我们这颗
So
心
real
那
cultivation
么
is
这个柔软
cultivating
的
our
心呢是
mind.
代表什么呢
So what does
其
this
实也是
gentle
代
mind,
表我
gentle
们
heart
的一
mean?
颗
It
慈悲的心
represents
也是
a
一
compassionate
颗
heart,
佛心
the heart
所
of
以
a
真
Buddha,
正
the
我
mind
们
of the
的
Buddha.
内心能够有慈悲心能够有这个
So
柔
we
软的
have,
心呢
if we have
它本
compassion, we have
身
this
它就
gentle
像
heart, it's a
好像
gentle
比
mind.
喻就是水用水来
It's
比喻
it's
是最为恰当
they
因为
use a
水
metaphor
本
to
身呢
use
它是
this
没有
heart
自信的
as
它
water.
能够
Why? Because
流
water is
放
very
能源
soft, very
能
gentle. It
和
doesn't
而
have
且
its
它什
own
么
nature.
流
It's
呢
no
它会
self
无所
nature.
谓
If you want
这
it
个
to be
是代表
square,
一
you want it
种
to be
人
circle.
的一种心境
It
一
can
种
be
有
any
正
any
念有
shape you
成就
want.
的人呢他
This
对于
means
世间的
someone
一
with
切
positive
就有一
energy.
颗柔软的心
It has
能
a
够
very
包容
gentle
一
heart.
切
It's
这
able to
个
accommodate
就是
everything.
道元禅师所说的
So
一
this
种慈悲心的所以
Zen master, this is the
水呢它真的给
compassion
我
that
们
Zen
很大
master
的
Tang
启
is
发
talking about.
水
So
呢它
there's a
只是
great
下冰
inspiration from this
只是
story.
代表
Water will just
它
flow
本身的
downwards.
一种谦卑的心
This
就是
represents
水就是一
humility.
种谦卑的心我最记得这个老子
I
就
remember
曾经说过
someone asked
有
Lao Tzu,
弟子问他那么如何成道
how do you attain
那么老
Tao?
子只是说
And Lao Tzu said,
去观察水只是说
observe
他
the
去观
water.
察水所以当你看这个水的特性
When you
它
look
的
at the
质
nature
地
of
的
the
话呢
water,
你就会明
the
白
late
原
you
来
will
这水呢
understand,
真的有
oh,
很大的
water,
哲学所以为什么我们要观察
observing
水
the water
要
is a
学
great
习水
philosophy.
它的道
Why
理
must we learn water?
很接
So
近
that's
我
the
们
reason.
学习修行的
So this
一
is very
种
close
人生的
to
哲学
our
这种
cultivation,
水最柔软的我们
the
继续
philosophy in our cultivation.
那修道
If you cultivate,
修法而不修心就是
if you
佛
cultivate Dharma
这一点
practices
非常
but
非常
neglect
的重要
cultivation of the mind,
大家知道
this is
我们修
Mara,
法
and this is an
没有
extremely
修心
important point.
那么本
So
身
if you
呢
just
它就有
cultivate
很
Dharma
多的
practices
它
and you
本
do
身的
not
心态是
cultivate
什么呢
your
比
mind,
如说
this is
有些人修
Mara.
了很久
For
你会
example,
观
someone
察
has
他
cultivated
诶
for a
这
long
个人
time,
修了这么久为什么脾气还是这么
but you
大
observe that this person
还
still
有
has a
呢
very bad
嫉妒心
temper
又很
and is
重
full of jealousy,
又很喜欢就是跟人家比较
and he likes to compare, and he's very petty. So this is the result of cultivating Dharma practices, but without cultivating the mind. I like to share the story. It's to alert us. I'm sure some of you heard of this story before. So there was a cultivator who was intrigued in the mountains for many years. So he was thinking, I've been intrigued for so many years. It's time for me to leave. Is there something we can do to benefit others? So he made an aspiration, a bodhicitta. And he found that many old people who has to walk to the mountains to pay homage to the Buddha. So he made a vow to carry the old people to the mountains to pay homage to the Buddha. So there was one day carried an old lady up the mountains. It was very hot weather, so it's definitely quite tough. Not long after, the old lady asked him, "Cultivator, what's your name?" And he said, "My name is Discourage." "Why are you called Discourage?" And he said, "Because before I was ordained, I had a very bad temper, but after I became an ordained monk, uh, my master decided to give me the name of Discourage. He's hoping that this will serve as a reminder for me to remain calm always." And not long after, the old lady asked him the same question again, "What's your name?" And he repeated his name. And the old lady kept asking him the question again and again, every few steps. And finally, he got impatient and he shouted at him, "Old lady, carrying you up the mountain it's already quite a chore. And you kept asking me the same question again and again." This was full of impatience in his heart. And suddenly, the old lady just disappeared from his back and transformed into Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva in the void. And he told the cultivator, "Your heart is still not cool enough, you're still not discouraged enough, you should cultivate for another 20 years. So what is the story trying to tell that? It means that when we cultivate, we need to cultivate our mind. We have to be aware that we should change the bad habits that we have, a bad propensity. And when we treat people, every single thing, at times, anything you experience that comes your way, they are here to test you. And sometimes when we meet, we have external conditions, external influences, we were not able to react to them. So sometimes you may have an unwholesome affinity. We have to think of it this way. Maybe this person is actually Avalokiteshvara. It may be a test. We should not be angry. We should keep calm. We should have a calm mind. And then we'll know that when in cultivation, it's very important to self-reflect. If you could visualize any unwholesome things that come your way, that they're actually tests from Avalokiteshvara, you will see things from a different perspective. So a cultivation must always have a very wholesome mindset. Cultivating the mind and Dharma practices, Living Buddha Lian once expounded, the emphasis in Tantric cultivation is on the Dharma. So, Dharma is a convenience. It's an antidote to treat our disorderly mind. So we always say that Tantrayana is right mindfulness. So we're using right mindfulness as an antidote to delusional thoughts, to get rid of our delusional thoughts. So there's a story that I would like to share. There are two brothers. They took a bus which is full of passengers to go to the mountain area. Halfway through the journey, they got down the bus and the bus continued on their journey to the mountain. And not long after, suddenly a huge rock fell down and fell down right onto the bus. And many people died or were heavily injured. And when the two brothers saw this, the younger brother said, "We are so fortunate that we got down the bus." But the brother said, "But if we were on the bus, that would not have happened." The younger brother couldn't understand. So do you know who is having the right mindfulness, who is not?
有人想吗？连追教授说，哥哥的是
Senior Reverend Lian said, yeah. So Master Lian was asking which of the brothers have the right mindfulness and the wrong mindfulness.
大家可能不留意了，其实呢，两兄弟
In fact, what the two brothers think are all delusional thoughts because things have already happened. What you think about, they are going to be delusional thoughts. What is right mindfulness? Impermanence is right mindfulness because you don't know when the rock is going to fall down. But if the bus continue to move on, the rock might still follow the bus. So rightfully saying, right mindfulness is impermanence. So it's the truth of the universe. This is what we call. So if you understand impermanence, it's going to help us a lot in our cultivation. And and then when you understand this, you will be able to face it. Because you accept impermanence, you are able to transform your mind. And then you accept it, you deal with it and let it go. So impermanence is a right mindfulness. So Grandmaster have explained. So there is a difference between cultivation and cultivating Dharma practices. Cultivation refers to correcting one's behavior to enable the practitioner to attain a mind that is in harmony with the nature of the universe. So real cultivation, must be in harmony with the nature of the universe. What does this mean? So this is, you go with the flow, you will not be attached to anything. You go with the nature. So this is what is meant by in harmony with the nature of the universe. So cultivating a Dharma practice is to practice the different tantric sadhanas to enable the practitioner to purify one's body, mind, and speech, such that one attain a pure, perfect mind that is in harmony with the nature of the universe. As such, they come hand in hand and neither can be neglected. So when we talk about the universe, we're talking about the void, and it's the most calm and most quiescent environment. In addition, it's not tainted at all. So it's the main objective of cultivation. We have to, our body, mind, and speech must remain pure and untainted. Every true Buddha disciple must cultivate Dharma practices and cultivate their mind. So we mentioned that when you cultivate a Dharma practice, the most important is also to cultivate the mind. The Dharma is actually dependent on people's mind. So a real cultivation, we have to understand that the mind is actually pure. But when you cultivate this Dharma practice, so if a person has right mindfulness, the Dharma will be pure. But if the person has evil thoughts, when you practice a Dharma, it may be right Dharma, but that will become unwholesome because the Dharma is dependent on the person's mind. As such, we say that phenomena are created by the mind. So there's this philosopher from the Ming Dynasty, Wang Yangming. He has this theory of the mind. So one day he traveled with his friend to this mountain. And he told him, oh, there's a lot of flowers and trees in this mountain. So how does that relate to, how is that related to our mind? And Wang Yangmi said, when you don't look at the flower and your heart are both quiescent. But when you look at this flower, the color of this flower, and you understand, you know that what kind of flower is this, what is the color of flower. This represents the flower is actually not external, it's inside your heart, inside your mind. And he said something. He said all phenomena originates from our inner heart. How our world is going to be light is going to depend on the state of our mind. So if you're optimistic, the world is bright. And if you're pessimistic, the world is dark. If you do both, you will become a Buddha. If you only cultivate Dharma practices but neglect cultivating your mind, you will become a Mara. Just now we already have a story to talk about this. There are many relations, but I think the Buddhism is the most compassionate. For example, we saw all the war that's happening right now. A lot of people die and hurt. So one is, for example, the Israeli-Palestinian war is conflict between Judaism and Islam. So Buddhism talk about compassion. So they say that hatred cannot solve a problem at all. So if you're going to use a hatred to solve a problem, that will not solve the problem. Only by using compassion can you solve the problem. So Buddhism doesn't talk about war at all. We always talk about compassion. Therefore, cultivating the mind is very important. A good, correct understanding would be to cultivate both Dharma practices and one's mind. This is to remind us that both are equally important. If one cultivates one's mind but neglects cultivation of Dharma practices, you will not be able to understand your mind. So this is the crux of this issue. Only when a practitioner practices the Dharma, it is able to understand the mind. only when you practice that you realize you have a lot of delusional thoughts. You're affected by external conditions, and you realize your mind cannot focus. So when you cultivate, you will realize that your mind will slowly you will slowly be able to focus, and wisdom will generate. And using the power of Dharma, you'll be able to achieve a single-mindedness, and it will generate wisdom. So actually, your mind is in the Dharma. So that means when you're practicing the Dharma, you understand your mind, how it is. Because the mind is actually formless. But when you have a Dharma to let you realize, it's actually to let you realize how much delusional thoughts you have. And slowly through Dharma practicing, you slowly eliminate them and you become single-minded. However, if you simply do a Dharma cultivation without putting your mind in it, then that will be Mara. As such, cultivating both Dharma practices and cultivating your mind are extremely important. So it's always important to do self-reflection. Learning the Buddha Dharma is cultivating your mind. Your intentions are your mind. Our speech and actions originate from the intentions of the mind. As such, the intentions of the mind will affect an individual's willpower and behavior. So there's a story I would like to share with you. It's about this master, Yuan Xiao, master from Korea. So in China, there's a lot of accomplished cultivators. So he went to China to seek the Dharma. Halfway through, they rested at the foot of the mountain. And in the middle of the night, he felt very thirsty. He went to look for water. So after that, he went to bed. And the next day, he looked at the water and he realized the water, that's actually a skeleton in the mountain. And suddenly he realized, what did you realize? When the mind differentiates, everything in the world will exist. So when he saw the skeleton, he vomited because he realized that he was drinking the water from the skeleton. It was the water from a corpse. But when your mind does not differentiate, the water and the skeleton and that of a pure water, there's no difference. So all things and phenomena depends on the mind. After the incident, he gave up his path to seek the Dharma. Rather, he went back to Seoul and he continued with his commentary of the Avatamsaka Sutra. So all things and phenomena depends on the mind, comes from the mind. Cultivating your mind is correcting the intentions of the practitioner. And to guide the practitioner towards kindness, have a balanced body and mind. Have a mind that is calm and at ease, and not affected by external conditions. So under such conditions, when the mind is steadfast, it will be easy to attain accomplishment. Let me share you a verse from from Buddha. He said, all external phenomena will go through a cycle of becoming, dwelling, deteriorating, and empty. However, if you cultivate bodhicitta, compassion, and your mind cultivated right mindfulness, that would generate the power of stability. Your mind will generate pure light, and that is the real merit in your mind. So it is actually real marriage. So this is a very important words from Shakyamuni. So when we cultivate, we have to learn to meditate until our mind is stable. When we talk about Chan or Zen, it means no attachment to form externally, and internally you are calm and stable. And this few days, Master Lian is in Singapore, and he gave lessons on meditative stability. So it was a very good talk.
对，我今天才看到他的文宣，我没有听啊，我没有听，因为好像没有这个直播嘛，我只是看了这个文宣知道联合上师跟廉价上师现在在新加坡圆真堂，那么明天呢，廉价上师又要讲他的讲座。
And Master Lian Jia was also be beginning a talk in Singapore Yuan Zhen Tang tomorrow.
好，继续，还有无心行者的。
Therefore, in cultivation, we must learn to meditate till our mind is stable and free from delusional thoughts and attachments. The practitioner's mind is vast like the void, which is simply equivalent to a state free from attachments. The practitioner will not be affected by any environment, any deformation, or any rumors. When this happens, this is considered profound meditative stability. At this moment, when one sits down, one will enter samadhi instantly. At this point of time, the Dharma will manifest, and the practitioner will see one's Buddha nature. What does it mean when the Dharma will generate, the phenomena will generate? So only then you will see one's Buddha nature, then you will realize there's nothing to gain. So this is real Dharma. Next, we'll talk about cultivating the mind and consciousness. A disciple once asked Living Buddha Lian Shen, what are we cultivating specifically? And Living Buddha Lian Shen replied, it is cultivating your mind and consciousness. So your mind consciousness, there's not a lot of, there's no difference. It's actually referring to the same thing. So mind consciousness are actually the same, or your intentions, they just simply represent our mind. They're the same. So the consciousness is to differentiate, to allow us to differentiate things, to understand. And intention is to allow us to, and the main purpose of the mind, we are talking about the eight consciousness. The alaya is the eight consciousness, is just like a warehouse which collect the all the seeds. So the ancient virtuous people from the past once said, your mind is also Buddha. The school of consciousness only, or is known as Avinati Matra, talks about consciousness as well. So the most specific meaning of learning the Buddha Dharma is cultivating the mind and consciousness. So what is meant by the consciousness-only teachings? It means that all external circumstances, external conditions are transformations as a result of our mind consciousness, and there are no objectives, and there's no objects and external conditions, only the mind. The Buddha Dharma requires one to adjust one's mind and adjust one's consciousness. So what does it mean? In the true Buddha Tantric Dharma, for example, when we talk about the 9-cycle breathing cycle, it's actually adjusting our breath. Our breathing and our mind, they are closely related. So every time during the main practice, when we're doing the 9-cycle breathing cycle, we have to breathe refinedly, slowly, and for a substantial period of time. This is to adjust your mind so that your mind become more and more refined. So the School of Pure Land and Pure Land emphasizes the importance of mind consciousness when dying. So as long as your mind consciousness is on the Buddha, you will connect with the mind of Amitabha, and Amitabha will come forth to deliver you. So if you think about, you have the Buddha in your mind, the Buddha will be with you. However, at your deathbed, you have a troubled mind. You're worrying about something. So your mindset at the time of dying is very important. So as Amitabha has said, chanting his epithet is very important when dying. If you focus on chanting the name of a Buddha, you have a joyous rebirth. So this is very important. So don't think about your money, don't think about your grandchildren at your deathbed. You have to let them all go. So Tantrayana is based on cultivate based on the mind consciousness. For example, in Tantrayana, the transference of consciousness practice is to guide the mind consciousness of the practitioner to the mind of the Buddha. So this is not a practice for ordinary beings. You can only use this only when you are in spiritual union with the Idam. For example, during deliverance, you are sending the soul, the battle soul of the mind consciousness to Pure Land, to the mind of Amitabha. The ultimate cultivation practice in Tantrayana is to connect the mind consciousness of the practitioner directly with the mind of Amitabha. So this, and when both minds unite, the practitioner attains Buddhahood instantly. If you're distracted during a cultivation practice, your cultivation is fruitless as the mind of the practitioner is not focused. As such, we have to use our mind and consciousness when cultivating a practice. So before you start a cultivation, you have to free your mind of all distracting thoughts and delusional thoughts to focus on cultivating a practice. A practitioner cultivates daily in order to augment both the mind and consciousness. So every day you have to do the same thing. Spend some time for your Dharma practices. It could also be reciting the mantras. This is to help your mind, to augment your mind so that they don't become disorderly. It is not possible to attain accomplishment with just one day of cultivation practice. You may feel good with a cultivation practice today, and your mind consciousness is completely connected with the mind of Amitabha, but you may be different tomorrow because you're feeling troubled and become distracted. And again, tomorrow may be good cultivation practice, but not the day after. So this indicates your mind and consciousness are still not steadfast. So that's the reason, the importance for doing cultivation practice daily to augment the mind. So this is very important. The practitioner must cultivate daily in order to have a stronger mind, which is single-mindedness, which is what Amitabha taught. In Tantrayana, this is being indestructible like a Vaishya. So this means one has attained accomplishment. We'll break for game segment.
Lian 助教到了小程序环节。
阿弥陀佛，上师您好，今天由我来代班。
Today will be Dharma Instructor Isa who will be running the game segment. So today's format will be a little different. We'll be using a PPT. Put your answers in the chat box.
那这是一个新的尝试。
So this is a new way of doing the game segment. So let me share the PowerPoint.
是我讲了吗？
是的，上次可以开始了。
问题一。
So as expounded by living Buddha Lian Shen, how can a cultivator avoid becoming a Mara? A. Cultivate Dharma practices without cultivating the mind. B. Cultivate the mind without cultivating Dharma practice. Or C. Cultivate both the mind and Dharma practices. Please put your answer in the chat box.
Oh. 我就看他们回答是吗？大家都讲对了。
So all the answers given are correct.
C.
Answer is C.
问题二。
Question 2. In the most profound practice of consciousness, what connects directly to the mind of the Buddha to attain union and instant Buddhahood? A. Consciousness. B. Mind consciousness. C. Body consciousness. Everyone got the right answers again. No, some wrote A. That's not the right answer. The answer is B. The mind consciousness as answer.
好的，谢谢上师。那
Thank you, Master.
小程序第一环节就结束了。
So the first part of the game segment has completed. Thank you, Master. We continue with the lessons.
第三是谈心。
Let's talk about the mind. The mind of a practitioner should not change due to the environment. Rather, it is the mind transforming the environment. I'm sure everyone clearly understands that. So in cultivation, a mind must be able to transform the external conditions. That's the story. There are 4 little monks who asked the master to give a Dharma teachings. And the Grand Master said, sure. And the Grand Master put an oil lamp on the table. And he told everyone, from now onwards, no one is supposed to say anything till the oil lamp has extinguished. At the beginning, everyone was very quiet. And suddenly, a gust of wind blew through the window. And the oil lamp was extinguished. And the first little monk said, the wind has extinguished the oil lamp. And the second little monk said, oh, you have spoken. And the third little monk said, luckily, I did not say anything at all. No, the third one said, no talking. The third one said, master said, no talking. And the fourth little monk said, luckily, I didn't say anything. But in the end, what happened? Everyone spoke. So everyone thought they didn't say anything at all. They didn't open their mouth and say something. So the human nature is very easily influenced by external environment. So this is very natural. So when your mind is very clear, when you cultivate till your mind is very clear and you have the wisdom, you have the stability. So you have both a mental stability and wisdom. Your mental stability will be generated. You will not be affected by external conditions at all. So when you reach a level into your meditative stability, you are able to transform the environment. But at the beginning, most people are not able to do that. They're very affected by external conditions. This is the reason why it is important for us. We have to be consistent in cultivating Dharma practices so that we can develop stability and generate wisdom. For example, the mind of a highly accomplished cultivator who has strong meditative stability is devoid of attachments and delusions. He will not be affected by the external environment. Rather, he will eliminate those external factors. That is, the mind will transform the external conditions. As such, a practitioner who practices meditation or purification will not get upset by just hearing something. So to know whether you have if cultivated well or not, you can tell whether you'll be affected by what people say. For example, in Seattle Leizangsi, something happened. During major Dharma ceremonies, actually the people who are having the toughest time are the people in the kitchen because they have to cook for many, many hundreds of people. So there was one day a fellow disciple was just joking and he said, hey, Shi Xiong, your food today is really salty, you know? And he's already been cooking for hundreds of people and though it sounds like a joke, but because the person was very tired after cooking for so many people, he got upset and he threw the spatula on the floor. He's affected by the external conditions because he was not able to watch his mind. So we should be vigilant about, we should watch our mind. Will we be affected by the external conditions? How do you check your level of meditative stability? A practitioner should observe his level of meditative stability. So one who has attained a profound level of meditative stability will be unlike ordinary beings who, because of what he heard, becomes emotionally affected, he can't sleep, and he generates afflictions. So a lot of people are in these circumstances. For example, in the temple, at work, the relationship between people. Because of what someone said, you will be, your afflictions arose, your anger arose just because someone said something. And your mind is circling around what people have said. Let me tell you, if you have this, if you face a situation, that should not be. Because no matter how angry or troubled you are, people will not know. They wouldn't know that you're upset. So this is actually to your disadvantage. So often we always say, you shouldn't, because of other people's afflictions, become your problem. So the unwholesome thoughts of others should not become yours. So what happens if you're not happy after if you experience such an unwholesome situation? Cultivate, recite mantras, visualize Grandmaster with you. Visualizing Grandmaster Dharma flow, blessing you. And I can tell Grandmaster will bless you and your wisdom will grow. Your thoughts will change. So you have, so if your emotions, you have, if negative emotions, just keep visualizing Grandmaster atop your crown, blessing you, and soon all these negative thoughts will be transformed. So this is a merit, a virtue of the Dharma. So the mind of a meditator is stable. There's no loss, no gain, no happiness or anger. A real cultivator will always be in great joy. No matter how people treat you, that's their problem, right? Whatever others said, it's their problem. It's nothing to do with me. We are always in a state of joyfulness. So I've mentioned before, the way people treated us unfavorably is a karma, but how we want to treat people, it's a way of cultivation. The mind of a meditator is stable. There's no loss, no gain, no happiness, no anger, no good, no bad, no right or wrong, no kindness or evil. And this is the absolute great perfection mind. And this is Zen, which means not having any delusional thoughts and attachments. So at this last stage of the great perfection, this is how your mind will be. You will not be affected by any external conditions. Your mind will always be in quiescent. But for most people, there will be, for most ordinary people, they've experienced the emotions of happiness, anger, but you must be, but you must understand that, but you must understand, you must have awareness of this. Whether you experience good, whether you experience something good or bad emotions, you must know where to dwell your heart.
但是呢，我们还是要努力的修到自己的心呢。
So we must cultivate till our mind is in a very balanced state. So the transcendent mind, the cultivator, the transcendent mind of an accomplished meditator is firm and can enter into meditative stability anytime he's not affected by the 8 worldly winds and is immune to any deformation or any environments. Even when the environments are unfavorable, the practitioner still feels full of joy. This is purified practitioner. This is a purified practitioner. So what are the 8 worldly winds? For example, when people praise you, ridicule you, slander you, or this reputation, we talk about gain, loss, suffering, and happiness. Yeah, and your mind remains immovable. So even without a roof over his head, the sky is his blanket, the earth is his bed. When it rains, it's like taking a shower. This is a mentality of a practitioner who has accomplished a high level of meditative stability. This is not easy to achieve. If you are able to achieve this mentality, you're already at a very profound state.
什么是颜回之乐？就是有跟大家讲过嘛。所以你修到这个境界，就能够心就是很平静
So when you're at this stage of meditative stability, your mind will be very calm and stable. With the mind consciousness in action, if a practitioner is upset because he encounters an adversity, he's not able to sleep and cries tears of sadness. He has to relate his encounters and grievances to others in order to feel better. This is the mind consciousness in action.
其实这种现象呢，我告诉大家很多同门
And this kind of phenomena is quite common in many fellow disciples that I saw. They were sharing with each other their experiences. Even after you share grievances, you may not feel better. And the best method is actually, like what I shared just now, is to cultivate the practice or recite mantras. This is the best method. This is the best antidote to cultivate those negative emotions that you have. If affected by external factors, this is not the real skill of meditation. The real mind does not come or go. It is neither big nor small. There's no size distinction. There's no gossip. There's no kindness or evil. This is the real mind. So how do you transform afflictions? Affliction arose because you have attachments or delusions in your mind. If you have no attachments and afflictions, you will not have afflictions. And where is your heart dwelt at? Is it on the Dharma? Or is it on right mindfulness? What do you mean by not having attachments or afflictions? Not having attachments or afflictions. When the mind is steadfast, there are no afflictions. You have afflictions because your mind is affected. As such, the Buddha Dharma teaches how to eradicate afflictions. So that's a story. The fourth patriarch, Bao Xing, he went to the third patriarch, Sun Chang. He asked for the liberation method, and the third patriarch asked, who bonded you? And the fourth patriarch said, no one has bonded me. And the third patriarch said, and why are you here to seek for liberation? And the fourth patriarch, suddenly, he was enlightened immediately, and he paid homage to the third patriarch. So there's a saying to say that affliction is actually buddhi. The buddhi afflictions are here to help us to cultivate, to see if we will be affected. If we know how to utilize it, it will be a merit. If you do not know how to utilize it, they will be afflictions. So any external circumstances, you have to understand they're actually assistive factor to help you in your cultivation. They are here to help you attain accomplishment. Remember, I talked about Shakyamuni. What he say, his Dharma.
都是一定是那种表现在顺缘方面，有时呢，它会表现在一种
His Dharma. It's not all about positive affinity. Some of his teachings talk about negative affinity.
就不能够定下来，都产
We
生
talk
很
about
多的烦恼。
and then when you meet a negative affinity, your mind is not able to stay stabilized. So whatever affinity it is, whether it's positive or it's negative, they are here to help us to attain accomplishment.
心不动没有烦恼，因为心动才会有烦恼。所以
So when your mind is steadfast, there are no afflictions. You have afflictions because your mind is affected.
心杀环境就能断。
So we have no attachment or delusional thoughts. Your mind is movable. Your mind can transform the environment. Afflictions will arise. If your mind is affected by the environment, afflictions will never stop. All worldly afflictions are therefore illusory. They are not real.
接下来，
Next.
宝生佛说有三等人。
So there are three types. The Precious Victory Buddha said there are three types of people who will not attain spiritual responses when they cultivate. They are the first type, the mind is impetuous and angry. The second type, the mind is scheming at evil. And the third type, the mind is greedy and without limits.
三种人就很难相应了。
So these three types of people, it's very difficult for them to attain spiritual union. The mind of the Buddha and that of a perfectly enlightened mind will be in spiritual union. The perfectly enlightened mind and the delusional mind will not be in spiritual union. The human mind is impetuous, evil and greedy. Even if you cultivate all Dharma practices, one will not attain spiritual union. As such, cultivation practice is based on the cultivation of the mind. We'll break here again from game segment 2.
好，谢谢上师。
Thank you, Master.
看到上一节小程序大家都非常若意的回答。好，我们继续。
好，继续。问
等一
题上，
下等一下，上师，等一下。
3.
好，有请上师。
问题上，一个修行很高
A highly accomplished practitioner is not affected by external conditions and is devoid of attachments and delusions during meditative stability. How do you describe this state of mind? A, the state of eliminating the mind. B, the external influences transforming the mind. Or C, the mind transforming external conditions.
大家都只有一个，他答的是 B， 其实答案是 C。
Answer C.
心煞境，心煞境。
The mind transforming external conditions. Question 4.
佛教教我们要断
In
烦恼
order to eliminate afflictions, what should we be? What should we do as taught by the Buddha Dharma? A, to have no attachments and delusions. B, to put in effort. C, to have an authentic heart.
大部分都答得对啊。
Most people have the right answer. The answer
一两
is
个是答到 B， 其实呢是 A， 是无
the
心。
answer is A, to have no attachments and delusions.
好的，谢谢上师。那我们视频的这个问题呢，已
This is
经
the
我
end
们
of
结
the
束了。
game
谢谢
segment.
大家的参与。
Thank you everyone for
梅林上
participating.
师有请。
好，我们继续。
Let's continue.
我们到了小结环节。
Summary. One has to cultivate both Dharma and Dharma practices. If one cultivates Dharma practices without cultivating the mind, one will become a Mara. The nature of a Mara is a combined entity of pride and jealousy. So so the other nature would include pettiness and enjoy fighting with others. Having compassion is a bodhisattva. To be enlightened is to become a Buddha. Learning the Buddha Dharma is cultivating the mind. It would be most precious if your learning reaches a state of comfort and ease, if you're able to be free from attachments and your mind becomes immovable, and that'd be great. But again, what is the most important thing in cultivation is to cultivate your mind so that your mind be purified, be single-minded. You have meditative stability and wisdom. And when the mind is at ease and free from external influences, there is no attachment, and naturally one will be able to attain accomplishment easily. Therefore, not having attachments, you will have to slowly realize this. To be no attachment to anything at all is really not easy. And it indicates your level of cultivation. If you are able to let go of attachments, only then your mind will be at ease. That's the end of the lesson for today. But before I go, I would like to share a story with you. In London, there is a Westminster Abbey. If you have been to London before, you know that that's this abbey, and you will know that in the basement there are tombstones. It's not for the ordinary beings. They are the burial grounds for kings and renowned persons like Newton, Darwin, etc. However, one of these tombstones is very special. It's a very ordinary tombstone. There's no name, there's no date, just a very ordinary tombstone. However, this tombstone attracts many people from all over the world to come visit. Why is it so special? Because there's an inscription on this tombstone that reads, it says, when I was young, I was full of energy and ambition and wanted to change the world. And when I reached middle age, I found that I don't have the ability to change the world. So I compromised and just wanted to change this country. But when he was old age, I realized that I was not able to change this country. I make a compromise again. I just want to change my family. But again, when he was old, he realized he was not able to change his family at all. And when he was dying, he looked back at his life and said and realized, if I had not been so ambitious to change the world, this country and this family, but just aim to change my own mind, change myself, I would have been able to transform myself, my family, and friends, this country and these friends. And then he has a question at the end of this inscription, say, who knows? So there's a very deep philosophy in this story. Whether we can change the world, who knows? A lot of things are pretty remarkable. It's just like Grandmaster, he started writing his books, close to 300 books. He started from Taiwan. He started writing in Taiwan, and even when he moved to Seattle. So he's influenced a lot of people, at least, if not others, at least 5 million disciples. So we're using Grandmaster's collection to affect the whole world. It's just like the mandala itself. When he is in Africa, he decided to use violence as an antidote to address the violent situation. So Mandala, he finally realized in order to resolve this war, he will have to change his mind. From that day onwards, Mandela changed his mind and influenced the people in Africa. In the end, he was able to influence the whole world. So he was able to raise the position of the African blacks to a level that is equal with the whites there. So propagating the Dharma is the same. Just like now our TBS online university, what we are all doing here right now, what are we doing? We are actually doing an education. We are educating people when we are together learning. We grow together. But what is the most important of all? That each and every one of us will be able to cultivate wisdom, to cultivate light, change ourselves in order to be able to influence and change others later. So that's the key point in this story about changing ourselves to influence others. To radiate our light within ourselves so that we can radiate others. So when we're here together learning, though we may need to spend some time learning, I think it's very meaningful and there's merits in it too. When we are kind, we're able to learn Buddha Dharma. We have another person, another wholesome person, and one less unwholesome person. So the world will be kind. So I think the True Buddha School Honor University, I'm very grateful to Grandmaster for his blessings. And also grateful to Master Lian for his selfless contribution, where everyone learn and grow together to radiate ourselves and to radiate others. Last but not least, I wish all the best for everyone. Om Mani Padme Hum. Thank you, Master Lian, for your class to let us understand the difference between cultivation practices and cultivation of mind. And they are both related and both equally important. Cultivating our mind is really very important. We must always observe our mind. And from cultivating meditative stability, allow our hearts to be stable. And also to recite more mantra to transform our mind and use it as an antidote to our delusional mind. Thank you, Master Lian, for all your stories who allow us to understand what is being taught more easily, and to let everyone benefit from the class greatly. Thank you, Master Lian. we are now into the Q&A segment. So there are two questions. If your mind is not righteous and you have delusional thoughts when cultivating your practice, will you become a Mara? Mara, it's a very unwholesome nature of the mind. It doesn't mean you become a real Mara. If you don't have a right mind and you have delusional thoughts when you cultivate, you will have a lot of prejudice. So there is a lot of metaphor. So if you don't have right mindfulness when you cultivate, it's easier to you can deviate very easily. For example, you focus on fame, money. This is kind of deviation already. So it doesn't mean you become a real devil. Yeah, it's a metaphor. It says that second question, are the 5 poisons Mara? Everyone has that 5 poisons, more or less. When you have not attained accomplishment, you will have these 5 poisons. So we have to use the Buddha Dharma, the true Buddha Tantric Dharma, to correct our mindset, so that we will have the right views. So it's important to do self-reflection often, and always have virtuous people around us always. So they will get us to the right path, and also the right views. So this is important. Like for example, if you must also read more of Grandmaster books and Grandmaster's group cultivation, so that you will be vigilant and not be going the wrong way. What's the difference between a hearer and sorry, the question is, what is a hearer and Pratyeka Buddha, and what level of Bodhisattva or Buddha are they? So they're at the 4 holy levels. So the hearer is once they hear something, for example, they hear Buddha teaching, they become enlightened easily. And in terms of the Pratyeka Buddha, it goes to the sorry, it means they are at both of them are at the 4 holy realms. So they basically hear teachings and became enlightened immediately. Sorry, so the Pratyeka Buddha will go to the 12th interdependent origination. They experience those teachings and they become Pratyeka Buddha. So all of them are actually at the 4 holy realms, but they are still not Buddhas yet. If you would like to find out more, you can go online and find more information. Find more information about the hearing of Pratyeka Buddha. Yeah, they are available online. Thank you, Master Lian Yi. Are there any questions from anyone? If there are, please just put them in the chat box, or you can just turn on your mic. Turn on your mic. I will give a little time to people to do your questions. Again, I would like to highlight to you the schedule for the True Buddha Tantric Dharma. November 17, which is next week, that would be the last lesson for this module. And then for November 24 is the deadline for submitting your homework. So there are 6 pieces of homework, same pieces of homework that you have to write, plus 5 minutes of videos. And then December 1st is the deadline to submit. December 1st is your online examinations. So on December 1st, again, 8 p.m. is the day we will have the online exams. And December 8th, 8 p.m. is also Taiwan time. That will be the graduation ceremony. What you have to take note that for the 6 pieces of homework are examinations requirements. So everyone, please take in the deadline. I think examinations are very helpful for revision to amend what we've learned. Thank you very much. So are there any more questions from Tongman? I think if there's no other question, that's the end of the class today. Okay, that's all. Let's invite Master Lian to say goodbye to everyone. Let's put our palms together to give thanks to Living with Lian Shen for blessing the class, for the auspicious completion of this class. Thank you, Master Chen Chu. Thank you to Education Director Master Lian Ha. Thank you, Peer Director Master Lian Chia, Master Lian Fei, all Masters, Senior Reverends, Dharma Instructors, MC, DA Chui Fang, all interpreters, all counselors, all DAs, Dharma assistants, and all fellow disciples. Thank you for joining us for the class to learn and grow together. It will be last lesson next week. See you next week. Goodbye. Amitabha. Thank you, Master. We'll see you in Singapore. Bye bye. Goodbye, everyone. Amitabha. Thank you, Great Master, for blessing the class. Goodbye. Bye bye.